Hello, everybody. We are here again today with another author-to-author conversation. I am joined today by Vindy Teja, who wrote You Only Live Once, YOLO. So thank you, Vindy, for being here today for this conversation.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
So maybe just to get started, you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm up here in Canada, so I'm north of you in Vancouver, Canada. So I live on the West Coast, and my background is I'm a divorce coach. I'm a life and divorce coach, and uh, prior to that, my background is in law, and I found myself in coaching, and then one thing led to the other, and I became an author with the book, and then a TEDx speaker, which was also related to divorce and prenups, and so that's been a lot of fun. And so that's a little bit about me. I'm the mom of a 17-year-old daughter as well.
Oh my gosh, perfect, perfect, beautiful. So like I normally do in these conversations, I'm just going to pick a card for us to start with. So I'm warming, the cards are laying on my lap. I've got energy running through my hands here. And then you tell me when I should grab a card.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Okay. Tell me
All
when.
right. Okay. Uh, Now.
Okay. Ooh, okay. I love doing this. This card is called Knowledge and it says seek knowledge. If you can see it there.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Okay, so I'll just read what the book says about that card specifically. And oop, page turning here, my goodness. Oh, it's not in alphabetical order. What is that? They usually are all in alphabetical order. Well, bear with me for one moment. What does
Sure.
that card mean to you, just off the top?
Huh. I would thought very interesting because this conversation just came up yesterday with a friend about uh, I called myself an information and knowledge gobbler upper. That's what
I love it. One of the things that's very important in my world is to be constantly learning, whether it's
Mm.
through reading or taking a class. Oh, here we go. It's under knowledge, not seek knowledge. But
Okay.
somebody complimented me the other day and said, well, and he didn't know it was a compliment, but he said, I just love that you love to learn. And I was like, oh, like that means so much to me. That knowledge,
Yeah.
here we go. Knowledge is the most powerful tool that you can use to bring about change to yourself and to the world around you. Building knowledge is an ongoing process with results that will last you a lifetime. No one can take this away from you. Knowledge is the foundation that can provide you with opportunities of fulfillment and freedom to choose your life's paths. It will bring about confidence and clarity, so follow your path with enthusiasm and focus. Mantra: knowledge brightens my horizons for the future.
Oh, that's beautiful.
How perfect is that for our conversation too, right? Versus we're just talking
Yeah.
about our kind of our life paths and our journeys and how important it is
Mhm.
to have knowledge on the way.
It's so funny, Candy. I have a friend who works in the mental health profession, and one of her favorite quotes to share with her clients is, "Knowledge is powerful. Knowledge is power. Applied knowledge is powerful." And
Yes.
I really love that. And I asked her if I could borrow it and even do a mini blog on it because I really that because we can have knowledge overload, right? We can have information overload, and especially in today's day and world with so much coming at us. And so how do we filter it? Do we and part of it is just starting to apply it and learning from your mistakes.
Well, and I think that's the key part. The knowledge, applying the knowledge is powerful because we sometimes we fail to integrate. Like learning for the
Mhm.
sake of learning is great, right? So building up all those connections, but without actually applying it or integrating it into your life, yeah,
Yeah.
we're missing it. So
Yeah, then you can be a great conversationalist at a cocktail party,
mhm.
which aren't happening right now.
Right.
So but then, applying the knowledge is different because I don't know if you ever watched the sitcom Cheers way
Yes.
back in the day,
Yes.
and was it not Norm? It was Cliff Clavin with all the knowledge. He
Yes.
knew
Absolutely, absolutely. So someday we'll have to meet up at the Cheers bar in Boston, and we'll have a
That would
knowledge
be
conversation there.
that would be fun.
So Vindy, share with everybody today a little bit about your book and the beauty of what is captured inside.
Um, yes, I'm very excited about my book. It's been out for a little while, and it's the result of, I guess, my applied knowledge, so to speak. So I had many experiences, and then I worked in coaching. I went through a divorce. I had a health scare. A whole bunch of things happened, and it was all kind of pushing me to find solutions and to integrate, as you said, integrate my learning. And then I had this moment. I'm like, oh my goodness, like if something happens to me, like is my daughter gonna have to like use a Ouija board to like, figure out what lessons I want to give her? So that was kind of the impetus for writing the book. Like, what would I say to her? And she was a preteen at the time, but that changed because I was fine. And then the book took on a new life. And so I expanded it. And so it is still something that she quotes back to me sometimes. Sometimes she'll call me out when I'm not doing the things in the book. She's like, oh, okay, so you're not using this life hack. So it's kind of fun because yeah, it's the result of a lot of learning, and I just wanted to give people tools, and it was what I kind of have found to be useful and true in my life. Yeah,
You
thank
shared your
you.
knowledge. You shared your
Yes.
wisdom.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, when you're looking for solutions, you're reading this book and you're reading that book, and you're kind of looking for a quick fix. You're looking for the solution. And when you can't find it, it's frustrating. But as a result, you get all this knowledge. And I think it was sitting inside of me. And it was partly, I just wanted to kind of organize my own thinking around it, because we often will write about what we want to learn about as
Mhm.
well. So there's so much power in just the process of writing and organizing your thoughts, and you change your mind and you're actually having a conversation with the book. So it's really such a neat process.
So with that in mind, and you mentioned this because I experienced this too when I was writing my book. It was almost as if the book took on its own characteristics or a life of its own, or like a guiding force stepped in to help write it because it wasn't always what I intended to put on paper. Is that similar to what you
Mm.
experienced in some ways too?
That's a really great question, because I find that a lot of writers, they have such different processes and motivations. And I think I'm analytic by nature,
Mhm.
and so sometimes I think in flow charts. And so what I started with is I was struggling to start. So I had a lot of ideas and I was struggling to start. So I sat down with a mentor, and he was saying, well, you need to make an outline. I'm like, outline? I'm all over an outline. It's very organized. So I just sat there and I wrote an outline, and it got me going. It changed a lot, but it got me going, and that's the process I followed. And then I had neat conversations because I interviewed a lot of people for the book, and that was the interesting, more fluid, organic part, because those conversations can go all different ways. And then you take tidbits and apply them. So that was kind of the way that I researched and wrote my book. But it sat on the shelf for a while because you know, perfectionism strikes, and then you're like, ugh, yucky.
Right, right. Or like, or giving your work of a heart over to an editor to pull apart, right? That's
I
scary.
know.
That's very scary.
It is, and my editor used blue font, and I remember when I did the credits, I acknowledged his blue font commentary, so he had a good chuckle with that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So, when you do coaching, do you find, and you said divorce and life coaching, do you
Mhm.
find that you use tips from your book specifically for your coaching clients?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, I do, and I think that it's become such a valuable, and one of the things I do is I gift the book to clients that come on, and get a package, because it does end up being a reference guide, whether they decide to read it, sometimes I'll just reference an exercise, and then they can refer to it. And it sort of say it saves them time and money too, because then we don't have to get into it in the session. I can reference it as, you can follow up and do this exercise and so that's been really helpful. But again, it's organized my thinking. So it's actually helped me organize my coaching
Mhm.
practice as well. So it kind of feeds off of one another. I don't know if you find that with your work.
Yeah, what I do best when there's a system involved. And so with my clients too, I have kind of the step-by-step process that we go through. But then each client is different. And we by meeting three, we usually are going in various directions. So we start with the same framework, but it's open from there. But I do love I love that there's something to reference and go back to and have kind of help yourself through it when you aren't necessarily in a coaching session. And it's a great way for people to get to know you. Um,
True.
maybe even before they call you to work with you.
I think that's a really good point because, everybody has different circumstances, and an investment in coaching is can be difficult because people aren't necessarily used to investing in themselves in that way.
Right.
So they might need a bit of a paradigm shift or just like give themselves permission. So a book is even a low cost way of experiencing you and what it might be like working with you, because it's a philosophy. We have philosophies in the way that we work. It's important that there be a match there. Um,
Yes.
with your clients for them to feel comfortable, especially with coaching or counseling or any, service-based service like that.
I love that you're touching on this because I think it's really important. There was a client that I worked with at one point, and I she was kind of like on the fence, waffling about whether or not to go back and forth, and I was like, you are worth investing in yourself. Like you are your only guaranteed return on investment.
Nice,
Like
nice.
like you've got this, and you have to want to, right? Like that's a rule of coaching. You have to want to be coached if you're going into that space. You have to want to look forward and be challenged to do new things and take steps forward. So yeah, that personality matches you're mentioning, I think is critical too.
Mhm.
So
And if you always, I mean, if you find yourself doing more work than the client, you know that something's wrong because you're wanting it more than they are. So it's just the telltale sign to
mhm.
step back.
Yep, I love it. I agree with you 100%. So for those of people who are listening today, if they want to get a hold of you, where can they find you?
Oh, the easiest way to get in touch with me or find me is my website. And I'm at vindyteja.com, which is vindyteja.com. And I'm also on Instagram at vinty 11. I had to think about that for a second.
Excellent, excellent. So just to wrap up then, how Vindy and I know each other too is that we both worked with the same publishing house, which is the Unapologetic Voice Publishing House. And both of our books, YOLO and Finding Life in Between, are available on Amazon. So you can definitely grab copies for yourself there and enjoy the journey of life and the adventures as they all unfold. So thank you so much, Vindy, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It was an honor to be here with you and speak about these topics.
All right, and we will do one last view of the knowledge card, importance of seeking knowledge.
I love that.
Perfect, perfect. All right, we will talk to you soon.
Thanks.